Hello, we are Christopher Dixon, Tanya Garcia, Amir Karkia, and Cassandra Spinks, and we will be discussing male student athletes of color. For students of low income and ethnic minority backgrounds, athletic programs serve as the leading principle for many individuals to pursue higher education. Increasing racial diversification for African American male student athletes is essential. Their overrepresentation as athletes and underrepresentation as students creates challenges, i.e., social stigmas and stereotypes, which can affect their development and ability to matriculate. The National Collegiate Athletic Association established a minimum 2.0 grade point average requirement for student athletes to maintain their athletic participation. This is difficult to achieve because some institutions put the athlete first and the student second, which negatively impacts the student athlete's overall development and graduation success. Putting the athlete first and the student second often results in a student not developing a strong sense of self during their academic years. Instead of feeling a sense of welcome on campus, African American male student athletes feel as though their sole purpose is to win football and basketball games, not perform in the classroom. Professionals can use Perry's theory as a framework to aid student athletes by creating support programs that focus on the student-athlete perspective, specifically the African American male student-athlete perspective. Support services must be intentional in design, as institutional issues must be acknowledged when developing program components.
My name is Maurice Coran, and I'm a student athlete.
My name is Duryea Williams, and I'm a student athlete.
Academics. Many athletic programs have a tendency to prioritize their students' athletic endeavors over their academic endeavors. Coaches and trainers are compensated for their ability to win games and may overlook their players' academic interests. Also, some coaches and trainers may not possess the skills necessary to facilitate academic learning or provide the necessary referrals.
As far as junior college, I'm actually a college athlete, and I play football at Mount Sac. And pretty much when I went to Mount Sac, the best thing I could have done is not play any sports and just to get academically ready to go to, a four-year college. And pretty much when I played sports there, we'll practice and practice and practice. And by the time practice was over, every day, we didn't even have time to study. We didn't even have time to set up a study session with groups or anything like that. We didn't know about the loans or things like that to, as far as if you don't complete your classes, you're most likely going to go to an NAIA or somewhere to, to where you didn't develop or pretty much earn a scholarship. Class is very important. You're not going to just earn a scholarship to just straight football. They make it seem like just football is the way to be, or basketball, or soccer, whatever sport that you play, and it's not. So if you take the JC route, it's better to just straight focus on classes. And that's pretty much wrong. You play a sport and they pretty much tell you that your major is going to be kinesiology before you even know that you can really pick a major. When I went there, I thought kinesiology was the only major that I could be in as far as being in a JC transfer. And then as far as, I started knocking down a little bit of classes. I took 2 seasons off once I started falling behind because, just thinking football was the way. I started to learn that I don't even have enough units to even transfer if I wanted to, if coaches did see the talent that they needed. So I was pretty much on a one-way street, dead end hole, and if you play sports and go JC route, you pretty much just digging yourself in a larger hole. It's about helping yourself grow and to be able to put yourself in the best situation. Junior college will not put yourself in the best situation. Do not play sports if you go JC. Pretty much when I first got to junior college, I was looking forward to join the nursing field. I always wanted to be a doctor and be an RN at least. And when I got there, strictly first thing I did was hit the football field. I don't even know if Mount Sac ever even had a nursing program actually. And also I found myself majoring into kinesiology, and that's pretty nice. I didn't really have any interest in any of that. And start going to a counselor and things like that, and then once you start going to a counselor, it's like you give them your classes and your transcripts and stuff like that, they looking at you like you crazy. It's like, why are you taking all PE classes? And I don't even know what to tell them, so I always go out there with no sense of direction. And pretty much the best thing that you can do is as soon as you hit campus is go visit a counselor.
At the community college level, transfer readiness and degree attainment is a struggle for African American student athletes. When there's an overemphasis of athletic achievement at the expense of academic achievement, African American student athletes, especially those from backgrounds that includes a lack of college preparedness, may fail to attain opportunities of advancement, such as Duryea missing the chance to accept an athletic scholarship to a four-year institution. Duryea could have benefited from purposeful academic counseling that did more than ensuring his eligibility to play football. With respect to Chickering's vectors of identity development, academic counseling could have developed his developing competence vector, which has three components: intellectual and physical competence and manual skills. Physical competence guidance would be provided in abundance by the athletic program. However, academic counseling, along with other academic resources, may facilitate or bolster African American student athletes' academic success while further developing their development competence vector.
Alright, so anyways, when I first approached the junior college level of academics, my coaching staff, in which I attended Mount SAC, sports, football, they were trying to basically pave my way into going to kinesiology. And I didn't want to major in kinesiology. My natural calling, I felt like, was sociology. And it's like I felt as though they were trying to live their dreams through me and making me go into kinesiology versus doing sociology, what I really wanted to do. Yeah, just to be eligible for football, taking weightlifting classes and bogus classes, just nothing that I had really had to do that was based on my interest. So I felt as though that it was a waste of my time.
When a young African American student athlete, such as Maurice, enters a college athletic program, they may succumb to pluralistic ignorance that exists in the program by perceiving their behaviors as being the norm, while the behaviors of others are worst. Meanwhile, their behavior is detrimental. In this situation, effective programming may include utilization of William Perry's theory of intellectual and ethical development. According to Perry's theory, one's cognitive or meaning-making process could be characterized by dualism, in which the unknown is resolved by referencing authority figures. A student athlete in Maurice's former position as a new student athlete could be served by being engaged in programming outside of the context of athletics, such as mentorships or student clubs and organizations. To progress to a meaning-making process titled multiplicity, which is characterized by the exploration of multiple solutions to a question, scenario, or problem.
As far as taking the junior college route, pretty much I feel like the junior college route is pretty much as hard. It's a one-way street for most athletes. When you get there, you don't really learn much. They want to pretty much represent you through the institution. So when you get there, it's very important that you have a plan and being able to follow that plan as well. That's the only way to be successful as far as taking the JC route. I also believe that junior college is pretty much, we're pretty much brainwashed into believing that just strictly a sport is, one-dimensional. It's everything to us.
I didn't feel as though I was academically transfer ready because they didn't have me into the right courses that I felt like I needed in order to transfer for my own personal success in the major that I wanted to develop in. They only had me ready to be eligible enough to participate in the sport that they had me in. And it was bogus. I felt as though I should have been able to choose whatever classes I wanted to take that were going to benefit my own knowledge and help me develop my own intellectual thought process versus being able to only be eligible for a sport. I mean, I wanted to be transfer ready and eligible to compete with people on an academic level and have success.
College route, I definitely wasn't ready to transfer. I was a kinesiology major also. And by the time I was done with sports, my 2 years of eligibility I had plenty of university offers in, but I just wasn't ready to go. I didn't take a math class. I didn't have a science. I didn't have a speech class. I just pretty much had all PE. That was it. And that was where I was stuck. That was my one-way street.
I really didn't have the opportunity to join any clubs just because, like, I had a one-track mind when you was attending a junior college and you wanted to have success and you played a sport. They basically made your whole life and your whole focus on strictly that sport. You didn't really get an option to venture out and to test your mind and to see other interests and do other things that you wanted to do, like join a BSU or a traveling student union or whatever the case may be. You didn't get an option to join any kind of clubs.
Why is that?
Because they didn't make it an option for us. It was just basically strictly football, weightlifting, eat, sleep, breathe, that sport, and then go to class. Like, you were a student athlete. That was it. You didn't get to join any clubs. That option wasn't presented to us. And when it was just more or less, don't join it because it'll take away from the sport. But I felt as though always I had the need to join it.
So as far as, because I know there's something that you would want to do over as far as, the JC experience.
Yeah.
What would you like to do? What would you change to have a better successful, career?
Well, for starters, I would join all of the ethnic clubs such as BSU. Instead of going to practice and having to go to extra weightlifting workouts, I'd be involved with going to the library and having those BSU meetings and getting more knowledge on my ethnic background, just being more connected to my group, my people, and having a better experience with college and having more fun and being more involved with my social groups, not necessarily just the athletes and all the people that are going to the sports, but my culture. Any of those clubs into our attention because it was strictly football. It was recruiting. They wanted to get us there to help them win another state championship, help them get another flag, help them get another ring. It wasn't based on knowing more about your ethnicity, knowing more about your background, your culture, what your people went through prior to you, and the reason why you have to succeed if you're going to school. Not wasting your time just taking bogus classes.
Did you understand why you were even at a junior college?
I didn't understand why I was at. The only reason why I understood I was at a junior college was because I wasn't able to take the right classes in high school, and it was the same concept as what we're bringing and speaking on right now. The coaching staff didn't bring that into our attention. It was strictly about football. So now junior college, to have to repeat the same thing that I went through in high school, it was hurtful. And to now be smart enough and knowledgeable enough to know what I want to be and where I want to be in life and have the type of knowledge that I want to have with my ethnicity. I want to be involved with my culture. Sports was more than one culture and more than one ethnicity. That's cool. But I wanted to be involved with my own personal ethnicity, which is Black African Americans. And I wanted to know more about my culture, my people, and what they went through, and how it was imperative for me to be successful in this world, because in the past decades my people had to suffer behind some other stuff. So it's important for me to know about my history and the reason why I need to succeed and excel and pass this knowledge on to the future generations to come on. One thing I would do differently is I would focus on the Golden Four versus focusing on classes to only stay eligible for the sport at the institution. And I would focus on being more successful and transfer ready and taking the classes that would help me be more successful in my major versus just having to take classes that kept me eligible, such as weightlifting.
Just playing football and things like that is pretty much like, we're brainwashed, one-dimensional. We don't even know about being a part of like we hear about BSU, Black Student Union, but we don't even get involved. No one teaches us how to get involved. We don't know where the building is half of the time because we're just strictly football. We're just strictly sports and things like that. And I feel like it's very important to build your resume as well. That's why I say that, to say this. Your resume is everything. You don't have you earn a degree, but you don't pay off a loan. Your degree doesn't mean anything to you, even if you get it. It's who you are, your integrity, your everything, your structure. You have to build your structure. Junior college doesn't build anything for you. Junior college route and, do it over again. What I would do differently is that I'll be more involved as far as, like work studies. Just different unions like BSU and different groups like that. And also, I learned that, it helps you get priority registration and all these great things, and it could have helped me be a greater person. And as far as being an African American male, I want to be all that I can be. And that's one thing that I would do differently.
Both interviewees, Maurice and Duryea, voiced dissatisfaction with the holistic experiences as a student athlete at a community college. This does not have to be the situation for any student athlete. There are lots of examples of student athletes at the community college level earning their associate's degree, transferring to a four-year institution, and becoming well-adjusted members of society, whether they become professional athletes or go into any other occupation. The goal of ASAP would be to make sure students do not leave our institution with sentiments similar to Duryea's sentiments. It will be a major challenge implementing programming to support African American student athletes' development and learning without compromising their athletic aspirations. However, this programming is critical to their success, so the challenge would be worth enduring. African American male student athletes may deal with a blend of detrimental circumstances. Issues pertaining to a lack of academic preparedness, identity development, campus engagement, time constraints, transfer readiness, and intersectionalities pose a challenge for them inside and outside the classroom. A series of interventions are needed that address the aforementioned issues of African American male student athletes. The interventions will need to provide environments that induces African American male student athletes to challenge themselves and be challenged while maintaining the necessary amounts of support given at a time. Interactions and mentorships with African American faculty, administrators, and student affairs professionals may provide African American male student athletes support needed to aid identity development beyond student athletes. In supporting African American male student athletes' success, intentional program design is key. Formulating a safe environment that addresses the educational goals, time commitments, and importance of interactions with non-student athletes is imperative. The plan of action to help the student population encompasses a tactical approach of understanding the role in advancing success. Our first learning intervention, You Can Do It, will be to engage African American male student athlete passions, interests, and pursuits both in and out of the context of athletics. In doing so, the academic success intervention will encourage African American male student athletes to enroll in classes that indulge their academic and personal interests. The second intervention, New Student Athlete Orientation, addresses the transfer goals of the individual educational plan of action. Once the education plan is established, the student athlete will meet with the transfer counselor every semester to discuss their academic progress and career and academic aspirations. The third intervention, the Student Organization Resource Fair intervention, will plan to increase the interaction with students that are not athletes. Our students will be able to engage and participate in discourse with students outside of the athletic department. It is important to induce engagement with peers and faculty that span beyond sports-related events. In our fourth intervention, Mix and Mentor, M&M, mentorship provided by African American faculty and student affairs professionals to African American student athletes could facilitate athletes thinking outside the context of athletics. In conclusion, programs such as ASAP and others like it are necessary to address the diverse needs of the African American male student athlete population. We do want to acknowledge that the creation and programming of ASAP may have been impacted by our team's own biases. Within our team, we are all students of color. 2 attended community college, and 2 were student athletes that identify as African American. The personal experiences of each team member may have at some point surfaced and impacted the way that a program goal or intervention was created or directed.